Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to tune your violin using a tuner or an app on your phone. If you have a smartphone, I recommend that you download a tuning app. There's lots of apps that are for free. You could look up violin tuner. I use one called Cadenza, C-A-D-E-N-Z-A. And I also use another one that I'll show you as well. But we're going to start with Cadenza. But know that really the concept for all tuners is pretty much the same. They just look a little bit different. Okay? So first you have to know the names of the strings you're tuning. So we have our high squeaky E string, and then our A, D, and our low string is the G. Okay? So whenever you tune, we always start with the A. That's what we do on fiddle, that's what we do for all the string instruments, and most of the instruments in an orchestra, we always tune to that pitch first. Okay, so I've got my tuning app opened here. Usually I just put this on the floor or actually my music stand, but for today I'll just leave it here on the easel. And you're going to see, if you look up here, you have this line here. And then there's this middle part. And what we want to do, since we're tuning an A, is to get the tuner to say A. Right now the tuner is just picking up on my voice and telling you, okay, I'm saying an E and then an F. And so it's going crazy. It's very sensitive. It's very wild. So we want to get the note to say A, and then we want the little icon that's moving back and forth. It's like this little bar. We want that to be centered right in the middle or very close to the middle. If it's over here, right here, on this side, that means you are too high and we need to bring it back to the left. If it's over here, it means you're too low and we need to bring everything up to the right. So if you're over here, it means you're sharp. A sharp is the thing that looks like a hashtag or a sideways tic-tac-toe. That means you're too high. You're singing too sharp. If you're too low, you're too flat. So it's this symbol. That's the flat. Okay, so we want to bring everything into the middle. So let's see how my violin is doing. Now it's raining outside today, and that will affect, even though I haven't taken my violin outside, that will affect the humidity level of my instrument, and so perhaps things have changed. Okay, so it says that I'm a little bit low, so I'm only a few cents off, so that's just like degrees. So I could try to get it in the middle. And you see it's flashing blue. That means I'm very close. And for me, that's good enough. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to tune is the E. A lot of times I'll tune the D and the G next, but I want to do the E because I want to show you how to use your fine tuner. So at the bottom of your instrument, you're going to see these little tuners down here. These are what you tune or turn to tighten and loosen your string. I only have one tuner because this is a concert violin, and having a lot of tuners, they say, affects and mutes your violin sound. You know, I don't know how much of an impact that has, but I've never gotten around to putting tuners on the rest of my strings. If you don't have fine tuners on your instrument, I suggest putting them on. Just take it to a music store. It's fairly inexpensive and it will make your life a lot easier than having to tune with the pegs. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so we're going to go to the E string now, and I'm going to see what kind of shape my E is in. Okay, and I just detuned my violin so I can demonstrate this a little better. So always use your bow when you play. You don't want to be plucking. because there's not enough sustain. It's that note is already gone. So let's see. Okay, so you can see on the app, the little bar is way over here on this side. So it's very flat. What we want to do is bring that bar over to the middle. So I'm going to turn my fine tuner in the direction that I want that bar to go. Okay, so I want to move that bar to the right. So I'm going to turn my fine tuner to the right. Here I go. Okay, I'm going to turn it 3 half turns. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. Most people don't turn enough. Okay, so don't be afraid. You're not going to break your string using the fine tuner. So 3 half turns. Okay, so that was too much. Now I'm sharp, and I'm going to zero back in, turn it a half, still sharp. Okay, getting closer. Now another thing I can do when I get comfortable with bowing, I can reach my left hand underneath, out of the way of the bow, so you're all squished up in here, and I play and tune at the same time. Okay, so I got that E pretty good with my fine tuner. Now if my violin's really out of tune, I'll go back and check to make sure the A didn't move. Oh, the E went flat a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the pegs. So say your instrument is really out of tune or has never been tuned. My heart goes out to you, especially with, right now we are in the pandemic of coronavirus and we can't go to the music shop and have someone help us. So this is a great time to learn this skill. Up here you have these very primitive looking pegs. We don't want to use these unless we absolutely have to. So the peg shape is it's not like a guitar. So if you play the guitar, you know, you tune and it stays in place, okay? So these pegs, this is my art skills, okay? But they're shaped like this. So they are pegged shape, like that. And you're shoving this into your peg box, which is, there's a hole for the peg. So if you tune it a lot, it's gonna come out a little bit and then your string won't hold. So as you are turning your peg, you have to shove it in at the same time, which uses a lot of muscle strength. Don't be afraid, your violin is made for this. So I'm gonna detune my D a little bit. Okay, so if I play it, let's see what it says. Okay, it says C sharp, but I know it's supposed to be the D. So C is on the left side of D, A, B, C, that would be over here. If you're thinking about the note that comes before D, it goes in the order of the alphabet. So after A comes B, after B comes C. So if you see a C sharp, you know you are to the left of D. So we are very flat. And so we have to tighten that note to get it up to D. Conversely, let's see you see E. E is after the letter D, so you know you're very sharp and you're going to have to tune it back to D by loosening the string and turning it in the loose direction. So how your violin should work is if I'm turning away from me, I am shortening the string and tightening it. So I hold this in my lap when I'm doing the pegs, hold this on my knees, and then I'm going to turn the peg up just a little bit, like just the slightest I can. And then I'm going to see what difference it made by using the bow. Okay, we're still in the C sharp range, so I need to turn it a little more, and I'm pushing in you can see my biceps are tightening. Okay, so now I'm going to use the bow. Yay, it says D, so I got it on a D, but it's way flat, so we need to turn it a little bit more. Once you've done this a lot, you can turn and play at the same time. So you can see how I have my fingers kind of wrapped around the scroll for stability. I'm able to push and turn at the same time. There it is. Now, since I had to use my peg, it means my violin was pretty out of tune. So what happens when you're tuning your instrument is that bridge, which is not glued on there, it's being pulled in different directions. So then you have to go back and check your other strings. A is a little flat. And then E. Whoops, my E. So my peg just popped out. What you want to be careful of with these pegs is you don't want to go past your note, because you're tightening the string so much that if you go so past your note that you don't know where you are, you could pop your string. Now, sometimes your strings are old and they're going to pop off anyway. But, you know, if you're worried about it, just hold your violin away from you, and so the string won't, you know, get you in the eye. That's why I wear glasses. No, I'm just kidding. Usually your strings won't break, but sometimes they do, and it's okay. Oh, there goes my A. This is great that my violin is acting up today. So you get to watch me tune it. I'm kind of plucking to here, just turning a little bit. You can see I'm really pressing. I'm using my ear. So if you have perfect pitch, I have perfect pitch. So that means I can hear what the note, like if I wake up in the morning, I can just sing an A. So if you have perfect pitch, you can use that to tune your instrument. I also like to hone things in with the tuner because sometimes it's easier. Okay, so I'm getting everything pretty close. Let's, okay, now I'm flat. Now, say you're running into the problem that I'm having where it's hard to turn my peg. You can screw it out. So you're just like wiggling it around and loosening it. And then when you push it back in, don't push as hard. You want to be able to turn in either direction. Now, warning, if you bought a violin on like eBay for $16, your pegs probably aren't going to hold a tune. So just know that could be, if you're getting frustrated or stuck with tuning, it could be just that you went for very inexpensive violin and you could have some problems. Okay. There we go. And then let's check my E. So I'm going to turn to the right. Now I'm going to do D. I got to tighten it, so I'm turning my peg away from me. There we go, and G. There it is. So my violin's in pretty good tune. Another thing you could do if you don't have a tuner is play your strings together. Your strings are tuned in a perfect fifth. That means the notes, the overtones, will line up together, and you're not going to hear any dissonance or what's called beating of the notes, where it's almost like a rhythmic thing that happens when your violin is out of tune. So I check that. And I line everything up. So if it's out of tune, you can hear like, oof, it's not right, and that's dissonance. Line it up that way. And So my violin is now in tune, and hopefully it will hold. One thing to say about tuning, you have to tune your violin every day. Some people come in and they say, I tuned it yesterday, or I tuned it earlier this morning. A lot of times I'm tuning my violin, 16 times a day, so you'll get a lot of practice. But I totally recommend at the very beginning you get those fine tuners and get a tuning app, learn how to use it. I'm going to show you one more if you want one more example. So I like Cadenza because it's just very simple. It makes sense. Once you learn one tuning app, the same concept applies to all of them. So I wanted to show one more app, and this one's called Tonal Energy, TE Tuner. You could find that. I have an iPhone. There's Android versions of tuners that work just the same. But let me just give you another example. If you like all of the details and you like a lot of gadgetry and you're into technology, then Tonal Energy, you see, has a smiley face. So this is kind of fun for practicing. So you can also record your practice streaks. So I guess I practiced 5 days in a row using this app. Okay, so you'll see at the bottom in the left-hand corner we have our note, and then it's picking up on my voice. And when I get the note right, it's going to smile at me. Okay, so here's the A. And if you can sustain it, it's a good way to practice your long bows. Then he opens his mouth. So, and it also, you'll see the sharp. If you're sharp, then you know to loosen your note, turn it to the left, and it will also show you a flat. If you're flat, where you tighten your note by turning the tuner to the right. Okay, so tuning is a skill. Don't get stuck there, and if you have questions or need help, let me know. I'm happy to watch a short video of you and help you, coach you into getting those pegs in the right places and what you need to do with your tuners. Okay. All right. I'm excited for you to get started, and I will see you soon.